This map of Venezuela shows the western part here is Lake Maracaibo, but we were in the eastern part of Venezuela at San Tomé in this area. The Mesa de Guanipa covered this area, which involved production from San Joaquin, Temblador, Anaco, and all the production went out at Puerto La Cruz on the coast of Venezuela through a pipeline 105 miles south that joined up San Joaquin and San Tomé. This entire area is known as the Mesa de Guanipa, and our home base was San Tomé, and a secondary base was Anaco and Puerto La Cruz. On our fishing trips, we had to put everything together in San Tomé. We used pickups and trucks, carried our boats, motors, everything was carried with us. On this particular trip, we're heading for the Tauca River, which is off of the Caura River, which is a tributary of the Orinoco River. We're moving south from Paraguan over a dirt trail towards the Orinoco River. Here we're having a pit stop and a little food, refreshments, and other necessities. As you can see, the countryside is very barren, no gas stations, no towns or houses, very few houses. We had to carry everything with us, including tools for repairs, such as this breakdown when a hydraulic brake line broke. I had to pinch it together, plug it off with a stick, and fill it up with water, but it worked. Here, Whitman's trailer has broken down, and this is a major repair. Actually, this happened on the way home. We just spliced it into this particular portion of the film. And the breakdown was so bad, he had to leave the trailer there, come back the next week with a welder to fix it up and bring his boat and trailer home. But we finally reached the river. Here's the Orinoco River, and we are unloading our these are Texas Lone Star 14-foot aluminum boats. That seemed to be our favorite boat for these excursions. Big enough to carry 2 people and our gear, and also big enough to withstand the waves and sometimes pretty rough weather on the Orinoco River. We always had plenty of help at the unloading process. We paid our helpers about 5 Bs each. In the late 50s and early 60s, this 5 believers amounted to about $1.50. And they seem very happy to get it. As you can see, there's quite a bit of gear there. We did carry a big ice box with us. It had a lot of ice because we wanted to bring fish back with us. This is Bob Yingling first. There's Willie Hanson. He was a carpenter. Pat Wilson on the left, Charlie Hatfield on the right. That's Jay Whitman. He was a clerk in the production department. And we finally got on the river. There's one of the ice boxes. And as you can see, it was quite rough. We finally got to the Caura. We found the mouth of the Tauca and worked our way upstream back into the area that we had explored by aircraft. And here we are. We arrived at our campsite. In the distance you'll see some ducks fly by in just a second here. There they go. These are Pata Reals. These are wild Muscovy ducks. They're big. The hens will run around 8 pounds and drakes will run around 12 or 13 pounds. Little egret fishing in the foreground there. And also you can see a dugout on the left. Indians fish this area as well. And I guess they just park their boat, come back and pick it up when they need it. Here we are making our way up the Tauca River. It's a very shallow river. The river itself is not for fishing. The fishing is in the lakes adjoining the river. We carried this little 3.5 horsepower motor spare to work our way up and down this river here. Charlie Hatfield's in the front, Bob Yingling is driving the motor and towing me in another boat. Charlie's keeping Bob in the channel. On the way, Bob shot a Pata Real, and here he had to make his way back through the brush to a little island there to pick up his bird. Bob's a pretty good shot, and this bird was a hen. Our camp boy is holding it, and it weighed about 8 pounds, I think, exactly 8 pounds. The drakes will weigh 12 or 13 pounds. In the wild, this duck is very mañoso or wary, not at all like the Muscovy duck that we know. Here we are doing a very dangerous thing, running through these shallows and towing our boats back into this lake. The dangerous part is that the waters here have freshwater stingrays, and if you come down on top of a big one, he'll sock it to you, and it's very painful. Some of these stingrays will grow up to 2 feet, maybe 3 feet in diameter. Action wasn't too great in this particular lake. Pat Wilson is casting and not having much luck. Bob Yingling's doing the same, but that's fishing. There was a little kingfisher bird in a tree right there that took a great liking to that spoon that Pat Wilson was tossing. Every time Pat threw it out, that bird made a pass at it. He never did catch the spoon, but he sure liked it. There Pat throws again, bird makes another pass. He didn't hit the water that time, but he sure enjoyed going after that lure. This was pretty slow fishing in this lake. Little action here. Yeah, Bob Yingling's got something. Oh, he's got a, what they call a Diablo de Agua, a water devil. And it's a rough fish. A Cherokee, one of some 2,000 species in South American waters. Very bony, not much of a food fish. Pretty good game fish if you get one 2 or 3 feet long. We went up the stream there, and we found the Indians had cut a little canal through this levee here, but it was only wide enough for their dugout canoes and not wide enough that we could get our aluminum boats through there. You can see the canal down below. Finally, Charlie Hatfield just jumped in the water with his waders and put his shoulder to it and pushed it, and we got the boat back in there. And things were much better in this lake. Here Charlie's tied into a fish. We'd agreed that we wouldn't keep any fish for the ice box that was under 14 pounds. Now, Charlie's tied into a good one here. This is the pavone or peacock bass. And as you can see, he's got his pliers to grip his lips. Very pretty fish. Wonderful fighter, but he shakes his head. Too small. He weighs it out there with his D-lyre. So the fish has got to go back. Here's Bob Yingling and Pat Wilson fishing. Looks like Pat's got a small one there. Bob Yingling's got one on too, both at the same time. Bob's is much better. And he checks him out. But he's too small and they both go back. Here you can see the hump on that pavone's head right there. A very pretty fish. Looks like he's hit a surface plug. Weighed him out. He was too small, so you got to go back. And I haven't got into the pictures this time, and I've got a nice one on there. Jumping and dancing and fighting. Beautiful fish. Weighed out about 13 pounds. Too small to keep. Had to go back. Action was great. You just couldn't beat fishing action like that. One time we flew back in there and caught about a dozen fish, and I think every one of them weighed within a few ounces of 12 pounds. That didn't get very close to the Razor while we were out there on that trip, but that's what happens if you just loaf for 3 days. Finally got back on the Orinoco, and the first thing that happened, Jay Whitman's motor gave out. We had to tow him back into camp, or back into the place where the trucks were. The Orinoco wasn't quite as rough going home as it was going out. But it splashed a little water on us. Stopped to have some refreshments. Charlie Hatfield didn't bother to shave. Neither did Willie Hansen or Jay Whitman. or Bob Yingling. After we looked at this picture, we called him Mr. Lumumba. But I couldn't take it. I had to shave. Now, Pat Wilson tried to shave, but he missed a big spot on his chin there. But he looked pretty good. It was a great trip.